Late last week, we got news from Meld that they were closing up operations. And this was massive news and a big shock to a lot of members in the Cardano space that started off with Meld. Some people were brought into the Cardano ecosystem because of this project. And to hear that they were closing up shop now was a massive shock. And I didn't want to create a video straight away about this. I wanted to gather as much information as possible, let other people do the investigations to see what's going on here, and hopefully to hear more from the Meld team as well in regards to what was going on. But this video, I'll go over as much as possible, everything that I could find in regards to the research into the investigation of what actually happened here. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Peter Bury. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that thumbs up on your way in, click subscribe if you haven't done so already, and click that notification bell, and I'll keep you guys up to date with everything that's happening in the Cardano space. Now, this was the big news that I woke up to last week, and the Meld project, which is absolutely shocking to hear, decided to close up operations due to this massive sell-off. You can see it here on Tap Tools. I'll put links down below if you haven't seen Tap Tools before, but you can see this massive sell-off of the Meld tokens. You can see these sell-offs here, people buying back in, and then eventually the massive sell-off, which led to the announcement of this particular closure. Now, I didn't want to make a video until I gathered as much information as possible, news and updates from both sides, from people that were investigating what was going on, and also from the Meld project itself. I haven't heard much more from the Meld side of things, but there's definitely a lot of investigation happening on the Cardano side in regards to community members, and also Xerberus, which had put in a siren investigation, which is one of their products that they've created to track where tokens were being sold off to, where they're being moved to. And this was a really interesting investigation. I'll go through some highlights from this report later on in this video, so hold on tight for that. So overall, this had to be the biggest failure of a Cardano project since Adana. Adana was one of those other really big projects that managed to raise huge amounts of money, but delivered not much at all. And with over 300 million in value completely wiped out, you could expect a lot of people to be upset here. Now, let's go through exactly what has happened here, and I'll give you a quick summary. Essentially, Meld did have some additional investors lined up, to large investors that were going to put more funds into the Meld project to keep it running and to develop it for its next stages. They had recently announced that they were going to do debit cards, and this is a really good move. This is a cool thing that a lot of crypto projects are trying to do, make it easily accessible for people to use their crypto assets and buy everyday things. Now, a lot of countries that isn't possible. Even if they did have these debit cards, you have to deal with capital gains tax and all sorts of things here. So it's an absolute nightmare, but they were trying to aim for that to make crypto assets as easy as possible to use. But for whatever reason, there was that massive sell-off. Now, this was the other thing that was quite alarming. They had over 100,000 users sign up for the Meld neobanking offer, but only 289 wallets supplied to the lending and borrowing protocol. Oh, that's absolutely terrible numbers. Of the top 5, Ken included, 2 Meld whales and 2 community members representing 80% of that TVL, which is absolutely insane. So there was virtually no usage of the lending and borrowing protocol at all. And even with APYs of 30 to 60%, there was absolutely no growth. Furthermore, the Meld mobile app, they had 500 beta testers, thousands of people sign up, and only 4 people upgraded to Meld Premium. So this meant there was no revenue source for the project whatsoever. The borrowing lending protocol should have been a massive revenue source there. And also the mobile app signups, the upgrades, should have been a subscription that gave the company more revenue. Now, with this lack of conversion of the community members, and the sell-off of the token itself, the 2 investors that were lined up were spooked and decided not to invest in the company anymore. So this then led to the closure of the project overall, winding up operations on January 1st, 2025. Now, Josh here put out a video, and this is also his last video, and I'll comment on that in a second, but he points out some reasonings behind why things happened in the Meld space. So let me just play this clip here for you here.
Cardano blockchain that's specifically related to lending and borrowing protocols and other kinds of DeFi protocols sometimes. As many of you already know and have experienced, whenever the Cardano blockchain gets congested, transactions get queued and they just take a little bit longer to process. What Meld had discovered was that in the case of a massive sell-off event like what we typically see at the end of a bull market or beginning of a bear market, same thing I guess, what happens is it creates the possibility for bad debt that is enforced on-chain. You've got to remember that lending and borrowing protocols aren't like DEXs, where the price is determined by the actual trading activity that's happening in real time. On lending and borrowing protocols and other kinds of DeFi protocols, the price needs to be injected into it using an oracle and that determines the truth of what is acted upon on chain. So what can happen is the price might continue dropping on a protocol while a transaction had been submitted for a liquidation, and it might have been initiated at a time when the price was different, which means that the assets coming back to the lender in the case of a liquidation is not the actual amount of assets that they should be owed.
So that was the main reason why Meld decided to leave Cardano, because of that particular issue. So I didn't know any of that until Josh put out this video. So that was hugely insightful, and thank you for sharing that one. Now, in this next part, Josh talks about why there wasn't the big adoption that we were expecting to see, especially with 100,000 users signing up on the platform and trying it out.
Only time to come to launch their products, they had a lot of signups for people that are wanting to get involved with the ecosystem, but only a few people that were actually using it when it went live. In retrospect, yeah, I guess it kind of makes some sense that it did end up going down this way. Even though it was looking optimistic, there was an airdrop campaign that was involved in marketing the launch of this ecosystem. But when that is the case, you're inevitably going to get people that are just interested in free money from a token airdrop. And that's what happened here.
Yeah, so a majority of the people that were coming on board on Meld during that testnet period and signing up to potentially use the app were signing up purely for the airdrop. So you got rewarded for doing so. So free money, hey, why not? I'll give this a go. When you market out to a huge amount of people, that's all they are. They're like airdrop farmers. You get all these free tokens, you sell it off as soon as possible, and then you convert to fiat and, happy days. In a lot of countries where that would convert out to quite a substantial income for a lot of people. That's why people do it. So hence the 100,000 people signing up for this one to get those particular airdrops. Now this bit here, Josh talks about Meld's revenue perspectives. And, I mentioned here that they got absolutely no signups or conversions to their mobile app. But let's hear what Josh has to say here with this.
The building on the Avalanche subnet actually doesn't translate like you would think to being within the Avalanche ecosystem. Even if you held Meld on the Avalanche blockchain, you still would have had to bridge into the Meld subnet ecosystem in order to interact with Meld's DeFi protocols, which is just another barrier to entry. So despite over 100,000 signups for the Meld ecosystem to get early access, Meld wasn't actually in a position to generate any substantial revenue, and having bridges to Cardano, Avalanche, Ethereum, and Bitcoin did absolutely nothing for them.
I think that was the final nail in the coffin in regards to the revenue source as well. A lot of Cardano users do not like bridges. They do not want to bridge their assets from one ecosystem to another, because those bridges become vulnerabilities. Back in, I think it was 2021, when Milkometer launched, there was that big bridge hack of Nomad. That Nomad bridge hack brought down the whole ecosystem there, and people were very upset about that. And ever since, no one's really used bridges extensively ever again within the Cardano space. So in the Milkometer ecosystem, to get some USDT or USDC on Cardano, you would have to get it from Ethereum, whatever, wrap it via Nomad bridge into Milkometer, and then from Milkometer, you could then wrap it again over to the Cardano ecosystem. And that's two bridges there, one bridge way too far, And because Nomad was hacked on the Ethereum side and had all their value of USD stable assets wiped out, that had a ripple effect, causing all of the wrapped assets on the Cardano side to be worth nothing at all either. Even though Melcometer bridges were absolutely safe, they weren't hacked. Because of the Nomad assets were hacked, it caused that ripple effect and people were completely put off on bridges altogether. So no more bridges, unfortunately. Good thing that OneChain is building some really cool stuff there and it's starting to attract more users back. Same with Rosen Bridge as well. But these bridges over to different ecosystems isn't just another barrier to entry. They sometimes, it's just too hard to use to move the assets back and forth. So this was the final nail in the coffin for Meld in regards to adoption of their platform in general. Now, this next comment here was around Meld's burn rate and how fast they were going through funds. And later on, I'll go through the amount of funds that was actually raised and how much money came into the project. But this was an email that was sent to Raul from Fluid Tokens, and he was offered the position of CTO about 3 years ago. They reached out to him here, and it's CTO role, crypto finance yielding, borrow lending, but with a salary of 300,000 euros plus founder level equity. That is massive. That's a huge amount of money, even for the crypto space. That is absolutely insane. Now, if Raul was the CTO of it, he may have delivered this protocol for all we know. So, I kind of wish Raul did. But that is a huge amount of money to be spending. And Josh does have some comments about this.
Meld's burn rate, I think, was, obviously, way higher than it should have been. This is kind of a difficult problem to analyze without any transparent financials in front of us. But I don't think Meld really held back in any areas of spending. I realize that may be kind of a weird thing to criticize it for, but every startup that I have worked with in this space up to this point, that I've had the privilege of interacting with and getting some insights into, they have all operated hyper efficiently. Some common elements that I see is that everybody in the company gets paid noticeably below market value. The budget is stripped down to only the essentials, the immediate essentials.
Yes, and that is true. A lot of projects that I work with work on bare minimal budgets or don't even pay themselves at all, just to kickstart the project and get it up and running, or run off catalyst funding for the bare minimum before getting to a point where they can actually raise funds. So this is absolutely crazy, the amount of money that Meld was spending. But they had to paint an image to try and attract these VCs, I assume, to the project, so they can see that something was happening, activity, etc., whatever it is. Now, the last thing that Josh talks about here is the closure of late game crypto, which is really disappointing to hear. Josh was one of the early ambassadors for Meld, so he was paid a few $100s a month to talk about Meld and create more content for them in general. But as a result, because there's no more funding there, he is deciding to close up late game crypto and no longer create content for the Cardano community, which is really unfortunate. I do hope he does change his mind and comes back into the space and creates more content. I really hope he does, because he is a brilliant content creator and he does a wonderful job at doing so. So Josh, if you are watching this, please reconsider, take a break, do whatever you need, come back and start creating content again. We do need you in this space. There are plenty of I told you so posts out at the moment, and also other attacks on fellow content creators such as Farid from Dapp Central as well. And now, Holger, you are a brilliant staple operator. You are very technical in this space here, and I really value all your opinions. But going after our fellow community members like this isn't really productive. I know that Farid, Josh promoted Meld. Maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe they didn't see the writing on the wall and still had real big values and hopes for the project. But attacking our fellow creators in the space isn't the best idea, especially when there's not many of us around. And as you know, Cardano grows, we will need more content creators out there. Now, just so that you guys know, this is a little bit of an insight. I want to be a little bit transparent about this on how much video ad revenue is created. Holger here mentions that Farid may have been paid by Meld to create the content, but you know, he does still still gets revenue from YouTube itself off the videos that he creates. And you know, Farid does a absolutely brilliant job, and so does Josh. But in reality, this is how much money we make. This month so far, I've made in the last 30 days, I made $136 US. It's not much for the amount of time and effort that I put in. Of course, October is a little bit quiet because I didn't create many videos. You really need to create videos on a daily basis, and it takes hours to do this. I started this process about 5 hours ago, and I'm still recording because I can't get it right. But you can see here at the previous months, it doesn't bring in that much revenue here. 300 is probably 337 is my highest month. A lot of that does come down to memberships as well. People paying a regular membership. So I make about $30 off memberships. But the ad revenue itself isn't that high. I think July I did a video every day. So off that, about 30% of it goes to the US government as tax. And then a little bit more as income tax here in Australia. So I get twice. And then I get whatever's left over afterwards. So, you know, it's not a nice amount of money in the end of it all after you take that all into account. And that is one of the reasons why Josh is leaving the game at the moment. It's just not worth the time. You can focus elsewhere to generate more revenue. Now, one of the big accusations at the moment is that the founder, Ken, was seen asking people to add more liquidity to the DEXs before the big sell-off. So this may have been these uptakes here, these two spots of green candles after these big dumpings, a little bit more there as well. And then, you know, after that, they decide to just sell on the community itself. This is really, really troubling to see. A really big accusation here. And can they be held accountable for it? I don't know, actually. I don't know if anything will ever come out of that. But if that really did happen, this is malicious behavior directed to the holders of the Meld token itself, so that the other people that were holding could sell out on top of them, which is really, really sad to see. Now, I don't have any information about that directly. Hopefully we do find out a little bit more about that, but that is a massive accusation to have seen. But the team from Xerberus did put out the video about this. They did a live stream a little bit earlier today. So let me go through some report highlights from this Xerberus siren scan, and we'll find out exactly what's going on here and how much money Meld raised and what's going on in the background here. So first off, this is a flow of the minting tokens itself. So this is where Meld tokens were minted originally in this particular wallet, and they're following the tokens through off to the eventual sell points here. So a lot of community members did find this themselves and managed to get to this point here, where they could find that the tokens then split off and were sold off to, or being sent off to many, many other wallets, and see activity through that. Now, this part of the video here shows all the wallets that were funding the Meld project. So this went to the main funding wallet here. All of these are ETH addresses sending in USD. Let's hear what Noah has to say about this.
The wallet where all the funds that was the initial investment for Meld went to, we can see here on screen here is this wallet here. This is public. This is I got this off I don't know if I can find the website again. Anyways, I just found the original wallet itself, and all these green wallets over here are the initial investors, right? So each one of these wallets have their own transaction hash once again, and all their different sums of money they sent there. The sum of this money just for two stablecoins, USDC, USDT, was $19 million around the range, right? So the initial investment of Meld was massive. Like I
19 million. No, might as well round up to 20. 20 million in USD raised. Huge, twice as much as Cardano. And this is on top of the ADA raised in their ISPO. So a lot of people delegated to all the Meld's pools, the state pools that they had. There were 99% the pools raising all that ADA. And Simon just comments on this, so let me just kick.
Is that in addition to the stake pool, or is that completely set free from the stake pool on the Ethereum side?
This is on the Ethereum network entirely. From what I understand, and from what I've gathered from on-chain currently, it seems to be completely separated, right? So we have the full ISPO side that I also want to look into where those funds go in as well. But just straight up stablecoin investments of 20 million, that's just, it is an unbelievable budget, right? I mean, in Cardano right now, we're going through a lot of governance stuff, and we're talking about budgets and things like that. And also me and Simon, I mean, we're running Xerberus, and we have to worry about your budget all the time. I couldn't imagine what you could do with 20 million. Anyways, yeah, with 20 million.
Plus a 1 billion ISPO, right? That comes on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was
Yeah, so a lot of ADA. The billions, 1 point whatever billion in ADA from the ISPO plus the millions spent there. Now, this next bit is really interesting and kind of alarming if true as well. But this first wallet here, this is the minting wallet. This is where everything starts and then expands out to a network of very large wallets trading between themselves. So let's see what Noah here has to say here and what the community has to say as well.
You start here with the minting wallet, and then you can follow this minting wallet. I know it's kind of confusing a second here, but I'll go there for a second. Gotta follow this line there.
I just want to interject. When people look at this, these are the token networks that we are always talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the problem is on-chain. It's not just this straightforward. As I show here, this is the output of Siren. But in reality, what he did is he took the tokens, or someone took the tokens. I don't want to say he. Someone. Sorry, I have no idea. Took the tokens and distributed them to thousands of wallets, which then these thousands of wallets distributed it and traded amongst themselves thousands of times, thousands upon thousands of times. In the biggest like schema of this I've ever seen. Like for example, if we like zoom in here, right, we have one wallet here, and this one wallet, we're gonna zoom back out. Sorry, has all these lines, right, all these edges, all these transactions coming up and around to this peak up in here, right, into this wallet. Oh, that's this wallet. Sorry, lols. But all these wallets have these lines to each other, right? So this wallet here has lines, has thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions to this other small wallet, who has thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions to this other wallet. Yeah, it's wash trading. It's
wash trading. That's what I wanted to get at. So Doctor there posted up, is this wash trading? And kind of seems like it was. Thousands and thousands of transactions between thousands of wallets showing on-chain activity. Which may very well have just been made up statistics to show that the Meld token was popular to investors so that they would invest more money, keep the project going, and it's just all wash trading. This is what you see in Solana meme coins. They're all doing wash trading, so numbers go up. And this is what we're potentially seeing here on the Meld side. Big accusation there as well. So we'll find out more as I go through the research here to find out exactly what's been happening with these particular wallets.
Right.
No, there's more question coming in. So Epic Fusion asked, I was thinking the same, could this be arbitrage bots? I have an answer in my mind, but go for it.
I think there's like 5 arbitrage bots on chain on Cardano, or maybe a little bit more. But this is not arbitrage bots. Arbitrage bots go between centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. They don't transfer to random wallets who transfer to other random wallets who transfer to other random wallets who then transfer to other random wallets. It's just not arbitrage.
Okay, so not arbitrage, but because they're sending transactions from one thing to another. But also a very interesting comment there about the community not being multi-chain either. So may potentially fake activity across all the different chains to fake that activity, and no actual real adoption of the platform, the app itself, which is kind of obvious now that you look back at things.
It's going to now task of us, and if anybody has information, or if anybody's affected by us, please reach out to us. But it's up to us now to really take those assumptions and move them into facts, right?
Now, if you want to learn more about what's happening here, I highly encourage you, like I said, to watch this video. They go through how they can improve the Xerberus platform itself, so we can see these potential red flags in the future for other projects that are out there, and hopefully they can improve their risk rating score for the platform. So anyone that is looking into potentially getting behind some of these projects that are building on Cardano will have a better risk rating score overall, so that you know potentially where to go. Where do we go from here? What is the closure for the community? And I think this is a brilliant post from Vex here that talks about some aspects here. I just want to highlight some of his comments. Here he writes, the harsh truth is that most crypto projects and their tokens will eventually fail, leaving many losing their investments. That's how startup world works. That's how the business world works. Most businesses will fail, while only a few make it big. So unfortunately, this is the truth, especially with a lot of people that are maybe misusing their token, their investments that come in from VCs. This was a big thing with Cardano, where they messed up a lot of their investment funds and spent it, or not spent it, but speculated in other crypto assets instead of holding and putting that money aside to build the project itself, putting those assets into other riskier assets where they eventually all went down. Led to the downfall of Cardano, and we'll find out in time if Meld did something similar as well and squandered a lot of those funds. There's a lot of funds there. Where did they all go? How were they all used? The other comment here from Vex, this is a very long post, but it's really good to go through as well. Put links down below for you guys. But here we go. No one will ever get your money back if the project fails. It's almost impossible to prove that somebody failed on purpose or not. Well, that's the risk. That is why it's always important to do your own research. And once you make up your bets, accept the risk of winning and losing. So hopefully we all do learn something from this. And if you did lose something, my sympathy is there for you as well. But, always only put in what you can afford to lose. All right, that's all I have for you guys for this video update around the Meld project. If I find out more information, I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you up to date. But on your way out, please hit that thumbs up, the like, subscribe, support your fellow Cardano content creators out there. I'll see you guys in the next video.